The easiest part was kissing me, so.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you know, that.
Piece of cake.
They were doing it all the time.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
How are you? Congratulations on a hilarious movie. It's a bit uncomfortable, but overall very hilarious. What was it for you guys that made you want to be a part of this movie?
For me, I was just excited to get to do something with Jason where we were playing, you know, a married couple. I thought that that would be interesting footage to have for our son one day.
For this kind of story, it's kind of broad. You know, I mean, the story is it's a broader kind of comedy, but it's played in a much smaller and more sort of human way, I guess. You know, it's really, the focus is on these characters, you know, and all of whom I think you end up sort of rooting for, you know, the girls, Guy, this relationship. It's really real. The writer-director, Lisa Joey, they asked me, you know, they're like, we're really big fans of Jenny. Do you think that she... I'm actually now... well, now I'm convinced that the only reason they cast me was to get to Jenny.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I've never said that out loud, but now that I've said that to Jenny, she's probably going to be like, yeah, that makes sense.
These are quite different characters for each of you, so what was the biggest challenge or maybe the most exciting thing taking on these roles?
I think for me, I mean, I've played American before, but working with these guys and with Jason Biggs as well, there's a lot of improv that happens. So I was always nervous to improv in an accent in case I messed it up, you know, and suddenly came out with a British voice. So that was trying to feel confident enough in the accent to improv and just riff with everyone.
Well, you nailed it.
Oh, thank you.
I think for me, the challenging scene would probably be the scene that I have with Jason, the squirting scene. That was a bit challenging because I didn't know that was my character doing it. So it was definitely shocking when I figured out it was me, and I just
and you didn't know how to do it either.
I didn't.
You had to learn
so
to
just
squirt.
learned how to do that and how to aim perfectly at Jason Biggs' face. So very
Learn
challenging. My special talent. So that was definitely a bit challenging for me.
I think my most challenging scene was me being practically naked in that bedroom, just because it was I was just so naked. I mean, and just trying to come off I was completely comfortable with it. That was the challenging part. And then once I got into it, it was fine, but it's just intimidating. You're in a room full of people and they've never seen you naked before, and now you are. But
the easiest part was kissing me, so.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, you know, that.
Piece of cake.
They were doing it all the time.
I
was like, are you guys still rehearsing that kiss?
Yeah, she had never kissed a girl.
Yeah,
so
I
she
was
was a virgin.
I was like, how do we do this?
Now it's captured on film
I was
forever,
teaching
yeah.
her.
So there is some improv. When you're on the phone leaving all those messages, how much of that is scripted and how much is just you just coming up with whatever you think of off the top of your head?
A kind of a mix of both. The stuff in the beginning of the opening scene, there was all the stuff when I'm getting really angry and throwing out all those things. That was a lot of improv, but it's kind of I think in any sort of good scene, at least comedy scenes, it's you tend to get a mix of the two. If it's all improv, you start to feel like it's improv, and then it starts to feel
and then
fake.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
You know. Then you're just oh, he's improv. He's on a riff right now. And it's all right, buddy,
balance.
relax. Come back to us. Yeah.
We don't really have a backstory for your two girls, really. Did you come up with backstories in your head when you were creating these characters?
I think
Have you
we,
thought about it?
I think we
sense,
with Joey and Lisa just kind of talked about, who we are and how close we were and probably how intimate we were when we're at home. And came up with that they're these best friends that just love to be with each other when they want to be with each other, and so we kind of came up with our own little story.
Yeah, and it helped a lot because these are really different characters for all of us. I've never played anything like this, so I think the backstories really helped. But I wish we could have put that in there.
Yeah. For a sequel, we have just you three doing something.
The spin-offs.
Yeah. And you have done some crazy things on film with all the characters you've played, including this movie. Is there anything that you all wouldn't do on film if they asked you to do something?
Jumping off a building sounds fun, actually. Yeah, if I knew I wasn't going to die.
Do you have any limits, though, of being no, I won't do something like
I don't. My limits. It's about it's about story and comedy, and if I think it makes sense for the story, if it feels natural and organic to what the characters are supposed to be doing, and if I feel like it's going to be funny, I'll literally do anything. Okay. It's when you start to get into it feels gratuitous.
Like a gag or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just degrading to. I feel like I don't think this movie is degrading to women. I think it's empowering in a way, but there have definitely been times when you get sent a script and it's like, and then she gets sawed in half, and you're like, and then she it's like, God, really, is that necessary? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is this really necessary?
Yeah.
I read that in the production notes, music played a big part in this movie, and them trying to find the right songs for everything. And you guys have that scene where you're kind of walking down the hallway of the hotel. If you guys had a theme song playing for each of your characters when they were walking, say they were singly walking down by themselves, what kind of theme song would you want playing behind your character?
Okay, well, when we couldn't actually use the actual music,
Right.
we didn't know what it would be, but we needed music sometimes when we were dancing. So I requested Darling Nikki, Prince. But they didn't have it, so then we ended up doing our sexy dancing to Purple Rain, which was not quite the same. But mine would be Darling Nikki, Prince.
That's a good question. Something that was just for her, she's such a rocker and probably went to every concert, and I think half the time she was just never sleeping and just had gone back from a concert. So something full on hard, type of rock.
With some hair moves, I feel like, as she's walking down the hall.
Yeah.
I easily, this song wasn't out then, but I definitely would have picked 6-inch Heels by Beyonce.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's perfect. It's fitting for that.
I love that album.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Obsessed with it.
Maybe something Led Zeppelin for me, probably.
Yeah.
And these characters are fun. You've played a lot of fun characters in the past for both of you. If you could drop these characters into spending a night for a movie with some other character you've played, what characters would you want to see put together?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I think it'd be fun for them to be with the Jason and Jenny of, my first book, which we're doing, and it's going to be sort of becoming a show. And I think it'd be funny for the Jason and Jenny in this to meet that Jason and Jenny.
Yeah, that would be fun. It's very meta. Already I'm feel like I'm entering the Matrix just even having this conversation.
Oh. That's just fun.
I just had deja vu.
Really?
Oh.
No.
No.
Are you here right now? No.
I guess it would be funny if my character met a character I played on Downton Abbey, Frida Dudley Ward, because it's such a different time period, and she was sleeping with the Prince of Wales, and she was sort of a notoriously bad girl of the time, so it would be fun for her to meet Nikki.
I'd have to say, I definitely could see Fallon hanging out with the character I played on Sons of Anarchy, because that was a call girl, so I feel like the character I played on Sons of Anarchy, she was more she played up how young she looked, and it was the teen boppy type of prostitute, where Fallon is definitely the harder rocker, and so I think those two girls would probably get along very well, actually. They'd be into each other, for sure.
Well, I haven't done a lot of films. This is my first real film, but out of the small things that I have done before, I don't think my character would hang out with anybody I've played before because they were always young. And I feel like if my character was in a room with one of my old characters, they'd be on separate sides of the room.
And have you all haven't had any crazy driving experiences when it comes to taking an Uber or a Lyft or just a driver?
I had a crazy experience in New York
What?
where we were on our way to go see, this is embarrassing, 50 Shades of Grey, and I was with a bunch of my girlfriends. We're in a cab. The guy is speeding out of control down the West Side Highway. This is in New York. A cop pulls him over, and I'm having a panic attack. Pulls him over, gives the guy a ticket. The guy then proceeds to slam on the gas and peel out even faster. And he's telling me that basically a cop can't give you a ticket for the same thing within a certain number of hours.
Oh, wow.
So I definitely thought I was gonna die.
It's like a double jeopardy thing.
It was a really scary
Is that true?
moment.
Is it just that cop, or could a different cop pull him over then? You have to
It
assume
was so scary, babe. And he's like, one time I raced my car from New York to Florida.
man.
Like he was one of those type of guys.
Did he not get 5 stars then? He probably got like, yeah.
It was a cab. I couldn't even
Oh,
rate it.
oh man.
You could have called 311.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any nightmare like job stories? Like how he's having like the worst job ever. He thinks it's the worst job.
I mean, I worked a lot in clothing stores,
Yeah.
and those were kind of horrible jobs.
Awful. Working
Retail's horrible.
Retail is horrible. I did
yeah.
retail. I didn't mind being a waitress. I worked at Pizza Hut for 3 years, which I really didn't mind. It was probably like one of my favorite jobs that wasn't acting.
Because I was like the weird person who's like, I refuse to do food service, so I did retail. And I was
Yeah,
No,
I think
retail's
retail is just
awful.
the worst, just because, you know, I don't know. It's just like a whole thing, and the manager didn't like me. She just like really hated me, so she would make me sit there, and it was at Wet Seal of all places, scraping gum off the floor that had been there for maybe like 5 years prior.
wow. No.
I was like, I'm supposed to be selling clothes, right? like, why am I
like, you
trying to
should
get
now
gum
mail
off
her
the
a box
floor?
of gum and be like, here you go.
Yeah, I was like, she does not like me.